Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and today I want to bring you a kind of comparative review of Marvel Legends Daredevil. Now, this isn't every version of him. These are the three that I chose as the top ones to choose from. So if you're going to look for a Daredevil figure, I recommend one of these guys. And I'll go over each one's qualities and bad things at the same time. And my cat's walking around meowing, so if you hear that or see that, please just ignore it. Alright, let's start off by just identifying what's what. This is the face-off Daredevil. There is an alternate version where he has no mask, and you can see that he's got his glasses on, and he's got the mask or the cowl down around his neck. This is the Nemesis wave, or Holocaust wave. This is the variant, the yellow and red version. There is the standard all-red version. And this is the Urban Legends figure, which is a really dark version of another one, which is the same figure, just the other one's a lot lighter than this one. I prefer the dark one, that's why I have it here. This one, it's the only yellow one really. There's one other version, but it's a really junky figure. So I have this because it's the best yellow version, and this one because it's probably just the best articulated kind of, and it's got the gloves and the boots that a lot of the other ones don't really have. So we'll get into each one individually, specifically starting now. Alright, let's talk about this one first. This is probably, yeah, this one's kind of the smallest one. He's not really too much shorter than this guy right here, but he is, however, a lot more narrow. So if you're looking for one that's real bulky, this is not the one for you. It is, however, the best version of the yellow, as I already mentioned. There is another one, the real skinny, older style one, that has the yellow and red, or brownish color, but I just really don't like that one. The details on this guy are actually pretty good. He's got the red dots on his gloves, right there. He's got them on his boots on the front there. More on this glove, obviously. And he's got the Daredevil logos painted real nicely. It is sculpted. He has the painted and sculpted belt. He has the sculpted straps on the legs that have the silver buckles on there. And the pouch is pretty nice. The problem with the pouch that I have is it actually has two cutouts for the baton thing. And they don't even go down all the way, so they should definitely go down farther. And having the cutouts just looks kind of cheesy. It should be an open pouch, I think. That's as far as they go, so it's not the best. The other downside to this guy, aside from using the Human Torch body, which I don't really care for, it's got a really long lower torso, or abdomen, or crotch, whatever you want to call it. But, oh yeah, the hand. He's got pretty small hands, but this hand is just a fist. You can't have him hold anything, so he only has the one open hand, which isn't a big problem, but it is the only open hand, so he can't hold it in both hands, which is okay. It's just something to take note. He does hold it fairly well, though. That's nice. And this is probably the most scale-accurate accessory of the Deadpools, of the Daredevils. It's small and it fits in his hand nicely. It's not crazy big. Like, for example, this guy, as you can see, we'll just compare them. Just look at the diameter, the thickness of the baton. It's a big difference. So we'll get to that in a second, though. Face sculpt is really nice on this guy. It's one of the best attributes, I think. I really like the sculpt on this head. The little horns are perfect size. Nice detailing in the face. Just overall, really nice. And he's a great display figure. He doesn't have any ankle rockers, which is kind of a problem for me, but he does look nice with the contrasting colors. I like the yellow version, and as I said, this is probably the best one, at least in my opinion. He has nice boots too, so overall it's just a really solid figure. Articulation wise, he's pretty much complete. Everything's there. He's got wide joint hips instead of T-joints, so it's not the best, but they are articulated. And he does have plenty of articulation in the leg, double jointed knee, ankle pivot, and an ankle swivel, just no rocker. So otherwise he's pretty standardly articulated. How about that? So there you go. There's the yellow version, Nemesis, Holocaust wave, whichever one you want to call it. There's that guy. The Urban Legends version, which, like I said, there is a lighter version of the same guy. This is the Deadpool body. That's why I mentioned Deadpool earlier. I had it on my mind. They're the same as the original Toy Biz Deadpool figure. Same pouch, same everything, really. Just different head for the most part. None of the extra add-ons. I like the darker version a lot. That's why I chose this guy. There are some problems, however. Some areas, as you can see right here on the ball joint for the shoulder, got skipped over. If you look, it looks like his arm was like that when he got painted, because when you move it away, there's bright red showing. So there are some problems like that. He does have these goofy extra shoulder joints in there, which in my opinion aren't necessary, because if you look, you can get the arm to go straight up already. There's really not too much benefit to having another joint that goes straight up. I mean, you don't really gain anything if you look at it. Down, up. You really don't gain much, so it's really not necessary. And they could have just left it without it, I guess. Whatever. Said that weird, but anywho. The head sculpt is okay on this guy. It could be a little bit better painted. The face is a little glossy. There's some spillover here and there, but I really like how the eyes stand out on this one. They seem to be a little bit of a different shade of red, and I really, really like that. I also like that he has the sculpting on the hood there, and the horns aren't particularly big. So overall, it's a pretty good head sculpt, I think, and you can see the ears through the cowl. So I like that. The Daredevil's painted well, the logo on his chest, but it is not sculpted, so that's another kind of a downfall. The pouch on his leg is pretty big, and even though it's really big, it's not big enough to hold the accessory, whatever you want to call this thing. They kind of can be wedged in there, but not very well at all. They don't stick in very far. That's about it. So it's not the most effective thing. And like I mentioned on the other one, his staff is really big and kind of clumsy. It's got really long rope, and it's got the hook on it over here. It's like a candy cane, and this end. So it's kind of just really big and clumsy. He can hold it fairly well. It's not too bad. It's a little loose, but you can kind of play with it and get him to hold it, and it shouldn't be a problem, really. So it's not bad, and it's just not the best. As far as articulation goes, he has everything you could want from a figure. Heads, everything's there. Double elbows, waist twist, ab crunch, double knees, shin twist. He even has an ankle rocker, which is the big deal, although it's very limited. Just a little tiny bit of motion there. Are we focused? Okay, so as you can see, it just moves just a tiny little bit. And his boots are pretty plain. So at least this guy had some boots and gloves on there. They're not super big or anything, but he does have boots and gloves sculpted. This guy is just solid bodysuit. Everything is all one piece. There's a little bit of a sole on there, but it really doesn't look like a boot. So that's the problems with that guy. He's the only real dark version, so that's why I like him. And he is really articulated. So you can get him in some really nice poses. Let's see if I can just throw one out real quick. Just kind of like he's standing on top of a building or something. Kneeling. Let's make him kneeling, I guess. Whatever. So either way, he's really articulated. So I know that's not a good pose at all, turns out. But it's kind of just demonstrative of the articulation. You can get him however you want, really. So that's one of the best things about this version. He's really articulated. This one shares a lot of the same articulation, but he does have some of his own problems. He's bright red, so if you want a bright red Daredevil, this is the one for you. I don't particularly care for the bright red, but I do like some of the other things about it. He is significantly larger than the other two. I like the size. Get the camera so you can actually see. So if you compare them, he's a lot bulkier and a good deal taller. So he's really good in the size department. He does have the wonky shoulders where these are kind of tucked in pretty well. These are tucked in very well. His shoulders stick out like crazy. He does have that extra articulation that's useless again, so it makes him even look worse. He has all the standard articulation, same as this guy pretty much. Actually, let me think, is it exactly the same? Not quite. This guy has a finger articulation. This guy does not. So this guy has a little bit extra articulation in the hand there, but that's kind of a bad thing because even though you can close his hands around his accessory, they look pretty bad. They're pretty ugly. Let's see how well he can hold his accessories. Yeah, fairly well. At least in the right hand it's okay. And in the left, let's see. It's a little crooked, but he can still hold it, so that's good. He does have a really big staff again. so it's a little bit awkward, but the rope's not incredibly long, so it's still a decent accessory. The pouch is horrible. It's open on the inside, and although it is somewhat better than the others because you can get the staff to fit in it a little bit better. Not a whole lot better, but a little bit. So it's kind of your pick. It connects to the belt, so these straps are kind of silly. It's supposed to look like it's connected to them, but it's not really. So it's not the best. His Daredevil isn't sculpted, and he has no paintwork on the belt other than that. The Daredevil is painted pretty well. He does have these gloves, and he has probably the most commonly used boots in customizing. A lot of people like these boots because they have the nice sole on them, and they have great articulation. They have the ankle pivot, toe pivot, and a really nice, frozen on mine, but it does have a nice ankle rocker. There, this one will show you. So you can get it really far, so it's really nice. Probably the other downside to this guy is the sculpt. He has like this really weird, like shrink wrapped style design. It looks like he's kind of gaunt, and then the suit is vacuum formed to him. It just looks kind of weird all over, and a lot of people don't like that. The head sculpt, I think, is pretty good. It's a little off, I think. I still think these guys have better heads, but this guy's not bad. So your call. Not my favorite, but a lot of people do like this guy, so I figured I'd show him to you. So there they are. Those are the top 3 Daredevils that I would choose from if I was going to pick one. Probably if I had to make the call and could only keep one of them, I'd go with the Urban Legends. That's the, excuse me, the darker one in the center. See if I can balance them all without trying. There we go. Alright, I would go with the darker one in the center just because I like the darker red. This video ended up being way longer than I wanted, so we're going to cut it short. There they are, the top 3. Go with that one if you like dark. If you like the red but think this one's kind of goofy looking, go with this guy's alternate color version. It's the same exact figure but red. Good figure overall. If you like the yellow, go with that one. If you like bright red, go with that one. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of my videos, and in the meantime, keep collecting.